Ma'am, step out and open this door right now. I'm not going to ask again.
Officer, I'm in my own home. I haven't done anything. I'm not opening the door.
You are obstructing an investigation. You want this to get worse? Open it.
I know my rights. You don't have a warrant. I'm staying right here.
You're making a mistake. Last chance. Open the...
Just after midnight, Officer Evan R. Kershaw, a 41-year-old patrol officer, stands on a woman's front porch issuing commands through a closed door. His voice is raised. His posture is aggressive. He steps closer to the camera and makes it clear he believes he's in control. What Kershaw doesn't realize is that the camera mounted above the door isn't just recording another routine encounter. That footage will later be played in a courtroom, and when it is, it will end his career and send him to prison for 35 years. Before we go any further, comment where you're watching from, and make sure you're subscribed, because this is one story you do not want to miss. Evan Kershaw had been on the force for just over 13 years. He wasn't new, but he wasn't a supervisor either. He worked the night shift, preferred handling calls alone, and inside the department, he had a reputation. Internal notes described him as direct. Another word appeared more than once: escalation. None of it had stopped him. Complaints had come in over the years, but most were labeled unfounded or quietly closed. Kershaw understood the system well enough to know exactly how far he could push. That night, he stood on the porch in full uniform, radio clipped to his vest, one hand resting near his belt. The red light on the doorbell camera was clearly visible. Behind the door was Maribel Quinton. She was 34 years old, a trauma nurse with 9 years of overnight experience. She had just gotten home from a double shift at Pinecrest Regional Medical Center. Her shoes were off. Her phone was still in her hand when the doorbell alert went off. She hadn't planned on speaking to anyone. Kershaw knocked again, harder this time. Open the door. Maribel didn't unlock it. Instead, she stepped closer to the doorframe so the camera could clearly see her face. "Why are you here?" she asked. Kershaw didn't answer. "I'm not going to repeat myself. Open the door. Now." "You're at my house," she said calmly. "I'm asking why." "We received a complaint. That's all you need to know." "What kind of complaint?" "That's not how this works. Open the door, or this turns into something else." The camera captured Kershaw stepping closer, filling the frame. His badge number was clearly visible. He didn't seem to notice. Maribel stayed exactly where she was. Years in emergency rooms had taught her something important. Situations escalate fastest when one person decides control matters more than clarity. "I'm not refusing to cooperate," she said. "I just want to know why you're here." Kershaw's tone changed. Lower, sharper. "You're refusing a lawful order. That's obstruction." She paused for half a second. "What order?" she asked. "Open the door." "Do you have a warrant?" That question landed. For the first time, Kershaw looked directly at the camera. "I don't need one for this." "Can you call a supervisor?" she asked. Kershaw shook his head. "You don't get to decide how this goes. I'm trying to help you." "By threatening me?" "By keeping you from making this worse." Across the street, a porch light turned on. A curtain moved. Someone was watching. "You need to open this door," Kershaw said louder. "If you don't, I can come back with charges." "Charges for what?" He didn't answer. Instead, he reached for his radio. "Dispatch, I need another unit to swing by." He didn't leave. Inside the house, Maribel stood still, phone raised, recording everything. Minutes later, a second patrol car arrived. Another officer stepped out and approached the porch. "What's going on?" he asked. "Resident refusing to cooperate," Kershaw said. "Won't open the door." "For what?" the officer asked. "We got a call." "What kind of call?" "I'm handling it." The second officer didn't move away. From inside, Maribel spoke again. "Am I being detained?" "You will be if this continues," Kershaw snapped. The second officer looked at him. "Is she detained?" Kershaw hesitated. Not yet. That hesitation mattered. The porch fell quiet. Then Kershaw tried again. Ma'am, step outside so we can clear this up. Am I being detained? She asked again. That's not an answer, the second officer said quietly. Kershaw finally muttered, Noise complaint. At midnight? The officer asked, glancing at the silent street. Maribel took a slow breath. I'm not refusing to cooperate, she said. I'm refusing to waive my rights. The second officer looked at the camera. She's allowed to record, he said. Department policy is clear. Kershaw clenched his jaw. Maribel raised her phone slightly. The screen was visible through the glass panel. A call timer was running. I'm on the phone with my attorney, she said. That changed everything. The second officer straightened. You have a lawyer on the line. Yes. Kershaw scoffed. That doesn't change anything. It changes some things, the other officer replied. They ran her name. Seconds later, the second officer looked up from his screen. Evan, he said, you ran the wrong person, and you shouldn't have been here. From behind the door, Maribel asked, Am I free to stay in my home? Yes, ma'am, the second officer said. You are. The contact was over. By morning, the footage was under review. Internal Affairs opened a case. Not for rudeness, not for policy violations, but for criminal conduct. The video showed threats, false statements of law, and coercion under color of authority. It also showed intent. Within days, Evan Kershaw was placed on administrative leave. His weapon was taken. His badge surrendered. Prosecutors later charged him with multiple federal crimes, including deprivation of rights under color of law. After a 6-week trial, the jury found him guilty. At sentencing, the judge said one sentence that sealed it. You didn't make a mistake. You made a choice. Evan R. Kershaw was sentenced to 35 years in prison. Maribel was at work when she found out. The doorbell camera is still there, still recording, because sometimes the smallest camera in the quietest place is enough to stop someone who believes they'll never be held accountable.